I always contend that our job is so much harder than musicians because a music person will be on the road and you're pissed off if they don't play their hits. And then the comedians will be on the road and they're pissed off if they hear the same joke,
Heard that.
It's insane. I mean, can you imagine just playing one hit? You get one hit, and you can just tour for the rest of your life.
Well, not only that, I talk about the fact of even the writing. Even the writing is so different. What you can get away with as a music writer, as opposed to a comedy writer. Like I talk about how even the Beatles, wrote "Hey Jude," one of the best songs, but a big part of it, and it was written down, was na 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 na. That can't really be part of a routine.
Try it. You should try it.
I was. Two guys walk into a bar and then na 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 na. You know what happened.
For a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
So when you travel, you take your wife when she's healthy and your daughter, or
when they come out some, like we have once we kind of started doing theaters, so we got a tour bus, and so they will come out with me on some of them. They always tend to choose. My wife, we just went to Vegas. My wife came to Vegas, so she doesn't come to all the cities. She's not coming to Wichita.
Right, same as mine. They want the good shopping and restaurants.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
which are few and far between because most of the gigs are in between a good place and another good place. Do you have a nightmare story about doing stand-up? What's the worst gig or weirdest gig that you ever?
One I talked about in my special. I did a corporate gig and the whole audience didn't speak English.
And do you find that a barrier?
Yeah. It was when we first started and I was in New York, you would do shows at it's Broadway Comedy Club. It was the Improv, but it wasn't the Improv that was the other, the original one.
Yeah.
But it was we remember we'd do shows and there would be sometimes you could be on stage and you're not really like getting laughs and after you've done comedy for a while, you're like, I know these jokes are funny. Like I do the same jokes every night. Like I know they should be working.
Right.
And then you then look at the audience and you're like, where's everybody from? It's like a whole group from China or something. It's like an Asian.
Yeah.
None of them speak English, but they just want the experience of a comedy club. So they're like, you're like, does anybody speak English? And they're like, no. And you're like, okay.
Well, I had that same thing with, when I was starting out my career, I was Diana Ross's opening act. And the room got sold out at Caesar's Palace, and the room got sold out to, I think it was Sony Japan or whatever. It was the full room. There wasn't one American in the room, and I was the opening act. And it was hellish. But you know what? Silence is golden. I know they say that, but it wasn't really golden for me. Until I went later. Did it what?
I don't do that much anymore. Like that was a big thing, right? Where you would open for music acts.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it was big. For me, that was kind of exciting. I had no act per se, and I did, do you remember the Merv Griffin show?
Yeah.
I did the Merv Griffin show, and I got a call from Gene Simmons of Kiss at their height, and I thought, oh my God. He goes, I watched you on Merv Griffin, and I'd like you to open up for my girlfriend. And I go, oh, okay. Who's your girlfriend? And at that time, he was living with Diana Ross, and that was his girlfriend. He hired me. And every night, the audience hated me. They didn't want to see me. They didn't come there to see. I was unknown. I was an idiot. The lights would go down. The crowd would roar. They go, ladies and gentlemen, Caesar's Palace is proud to present an evening of Diana Ross. And there'd be like this wall of sound. And if you listened really closely, or you were my mom, you could hear, but first, enjoy Howie Mandel. And I would just walk out to just disappointment, a room of disappointment. But you learn. It makes you stronger. You don't use that muscle. It goes away.
That makes you so much stronger, like dealing with that silence. That's what I always thought with New York while we were I liked a lot of comics in New York, and I think New York produces a lot of great comics, is because you're performing regularly in front of 4 to 6 people.
That's my favorite thing. I still do that now. So I've been writing, trying to prepare for a set that I got to do later on in a couple of months. And this is my first time out. And what I do is I'm just finding places where I'm comfortable to be, which is a lot more. I put up a lot more walls than most people. So the other night I performed. There was a little tiny room. There's, Flappers Comedy Club here in town, but it's called the Yoo-Hoo Room. And it was a little room. I said, I want to do 2 sets in one night at least and not leave the building. So there were 7 people sitting in this Yoo-Hoo Room, which at capacity probably holds 40, but it wasn't capacity. It was like 6. But to me, those are my favorite moments because if I can get even a smile in that room, I know that it works.
It becomes so much easier when you get in front of a big room.
Yeah. It's probably not even good. It's just...
I've been in that Yoo-Hoo room in front of... I mean, they're close, too. It feels like you're like in the room, in the studio y'all are in. Like you're all just next to each other. You're barely on a stage. You're barely above them. So there's no...
Well, not only that, I did my first bit, and the woman sitting there goes, I don't get it. I go, well, thank you. I don't usually get that kind of feedback from an audience. Like it just could go over somebody's head, but usually silently. But then I spent the next 10 minutes explaining, and she went, oh, that's funny. So I knew, I knew it was, like, I never did that again, but it is, you've played that room?
I played that room, yeah. I remember so there's a room in New York called the Village Lantern. It was kind of by the Comedy Cellar, kind of right, McDougal area. And they had a room like that. And so when you would start shows, when you're first starting, you would just say you basically would trick 2 people to go down there and sit, or 4. And then you'd be like, all right, someone's got to go on stage so these people don't leave. And let's try to get more people down there. You're just trying to create a show.
Right.
And sometimes I would go on. And one time there's these 2 couples sitting in the front row. So I go up and I'm just, and I have just this energy the whole time. And so I'm just sitting there trying to talk to them. And then the 2 girls just stand up and take a picture with me. I mean, it's as if we're in a wax museum. Like, there's just zero respect. No one knows me. It's not like they're doing it because I'm famous. They're doing it just like, I don't know, who could this
This is good for my Instagram.
Yeah. And so they just sit there and they just took a picture and they sat back down. And I mean, no one really talked about it. No one, bathroom, if you had to go, people would have to walk behind you on stage to go to the bathroom.
I had that when I started out. There was a club in Montreal on Crescent Street before there was even a Yuck Yucks there. I started at a club named Yuck Yucks in Toronto, and they had the bathroom behind. So when I would, and I'd get scared. I didn't know that at the beginning. So I'd be doing my act, and then somebody would start walking toward me, and now they're stepping on the stage, and I'd go, fuck, what is going on? And then he'd walk past me. And then they told me, I didn't know the bathroom was behind me. And then I'd be doing it. And then right on the punchline, you could hear the flush. But we as comedians have worked in like weird, only comedians get asked to be in these predicaments that are just unbelievable, but they give us great stories, don't they?